views and opinions of the hosts are those of the host and not any company which they are affiliated with.
Explain the phenomenon, and you kind of referenced it before. That is the Crayola Experience video. I know it comes up on In the Loop quite often. Do you even understand what that video turned into?
No. I can't even fathom the idea of this. But basically, Crayola Experience came to town, and I had the opportunity to go to the Florida Mall employee preview. I wasn't, because it's at the Florida Mall. And I wasn't a Florida Mall employee, but I went with someone who was. And so I got to go in for $10. And I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to film a video here. It probably won't do very well, but whatever, it's all season, we could use some content or whatnot. And so I did a video, and I asked the In the Loop guys for my $10 back, and they were hesitant about it. I was like, you know what? If I don't get these $10 back, screw them. I'm not even going to post this video.
Oh my gosh! And at this point, you're eating ramen noodles.
Yeah. Poor college student.
Yes.
So that's what's funny is, in life, my vacation hobbies have never changed. Going to all of these theme parks, but but the amount of money I've made in work has definitely changed. So when I was just super poor, I'd be like, all right, I'll eat ramen noodles for 2 meals a day and sell my books back from college 2 weeks early so I can have some extra money here.
Yep.
And that was how I would pay for trips. And there's definitely been times in life where I would be stuck at a rest stop at 2 o'clock in the morning, running low on gas and knowing that my paycheck hits at 2:45 in the morning, and I had to wait till it cleared my bank before I could fill up my tank again. But I was just like, I'm still going to Dollywood this weekend, whatever.
The joys of being young and not worrying about other things. That's it. How do I survive this next experience? That's it. That's the thought process. Yep.
But yeah, so I filmed the video and posted it, and it didn't really take off at first. And then just one day, it was boom, 10,000 views overnight. And then boom, the next night it was 24,000 views overnight. And it was just wow.
People kept sharing it? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Then this is the point where In the Loop wasn't nearly as popular as it was. So when we had a video that had a couple of thousand views, that was oh, that's really good. All right, this video has 6,000 views.
Yep.
And we're all right, this is going somewhere. And then it just didn't stop. And then it was 100,000 and 200,000. And it kept going. And now it's at 2.9 million views on YouTube 4 years later.
It's funny because all three kids said, boy, I want to go there. That was their immediate reaction, was, wow, that looks really cool, all the hands-on stuff. And my guess is you're one of the first videos of any outlet at all to cover that whole experience.
I'm sure. This was their first ever soft opening day, and I was there within an hour of opening. So I think other people that have the videos that are there now have just saw the success of our crayon video.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, let's see if we can tap into this.
And it really is cool. What was your favorite part of it? Was there one thing in particular that you...
I liked, the making your own crayon thing.
Yeah, there were so many cool things that they were able to do. So making your own crayon, the Intern drew crayon. What was your favorite part of the video?
I gotta say, making the own crayon and typing what you wanted and putting on there, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then I also thought the print yourself out on a coloring book page was pretty cool.
Very cool. And how it turns out kind of cartoonish, but still looking realistic. I thought that was awesome. And I have to say, and I hate this song, and I hate the fact that it popped into my head, but when you drew the thing, and a lot of aquariums have that now, where you can draw something and then it plops onto the screen. So aquariums have that now too. All I could think of was when you put yours up was pooping shark doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I won't even sing it because that's how much I hate that awful video. And it is Slater's fault. He posted that on social media. I never would have known that, and I think I could have avoided it.
You probably still would have, because Maddie knew it from her daycare.
Oh, yeah, I can't stand that, but yes, so that was amusing. And that's in a mall pretty close to you, that store?
Yeah, so we have two malls in Orlando. We have the Florida Mall and we have the Mall of Millennia, and it's at the Florida Mall, so it's probably 20 minutes away.
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty much right on your way to the airport.
Do you know, is it $10 still to get in? Is that how it works?
No, it's like 25, something like that.
It seems like it would be the kind of place that it's 25, but then if you buy a certain amount of stuff from the store, so you can get that back to incentivize people to buy stuff. But I guess it's hard to get a feel of how big that place really is from the video. But you think it's worth that 25?
I think if your kids are going to have fun, it's worth 25. At the time, I was an adult male. that did not have kids,
Yeah.
it was a little weird.
Sadly, we're spoiled because when I think of any price, like for instance, going to the casino pier and riding hydras for $10, when I think of those kind of things, I think to myself, okay, a Six Flags membership for the year is $60. How do you justify this couple of hours experience for $29? And that's the crazy thing, and you guys talk about it all the time, how cheap those passes are. But when you get a gold pass with free parking for $65, like anything else doesn't seem worth it. It's a weird like that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And they have like an actual season pass at the Crayola Experience that's like $55 or something like that.
That would
if your kids are really into crayons, like you could obviously do that. But to me, it was like a one and done kind of experience. I wouldn't need to go back. But I can't wait to take Holland Blitz there at some point. He can play with crayons.
Oh, we'll love it. By the time that happens, it'll be well over that 3 million mark. So pretty crazy.
So what's really funny is January this year, that video just hit a wall. And it went from getting thousands of views today to getting like 100 views a day. And out of this, on the same day, the Mall of America Crayola Experience video blew up.
Wow.
So it was like a polar vortex here. And now that's the one that everyone's watching, is the Mall of America one.
So that's now catching up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that number 2 right now and in the loop?
No, it's not number 2. It's God, I can actually look this up, but it's definitely in like the top.
Yep.
But it's not number 2. Okay, so the number 2, it's the number 3 video.
Oh wow. Okay.
The number 2 video is the Canada's Wonderland flat ride video, where we just go around and show off all the flat rides at Canada's Wonderland.
Which is well deserving because Canada's Wonderland has such awesome flat rides, and ones that you'll finally get to do this year is your finally 54 inches. So wild collection. So do you have a particular favorite episode from all the years you've been doing in the loop, and or video that really stand out to you from over the years?
You know, I don't really re-listen to the episodes, so I wouldn't say I have a favorite episode. I know we've done. I have a lot of fun things we've done at the IAPA trade show floor, and I love the video of Legend scared out of his mind on this ropes course, and it's like true tears, and he's like really actually scared on this parking lot ropes course by Crystal Tums. That has to be my favorite video that's on the YouTube channel.
Okay, this is interesting. See, I didn't know about this one. We have the Legend in tears in the ropes course, and we have Clint in tears on the drop tower that he did with just the seatbelt. Is there going to be a point where you're going to be in tears on something? We need like the whole crew in tears. I love this.
I mean, there's definitely the video of me riding the scariest swing ride in the world at Glenwood Cavern. And I'm legitimately terrified.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm in tears, but I was like, I don't really like this.
We hope to get there at some point because we've seen the video of that. So how much has being a dad now, and it's been a number of months, how much has it changed your perspective, not only as a person, but a theme park fan and thinking about the future?
You know, it is interesting because now I pay attention to rides that my son can ride, and also paying way more attention to how like child swap policies work at different parks.
Yes.
So like, take Universal for example. They had the child swap. Everybody goes through the line. You take your like diaper bag and all that kind of stuff through the line.
Oh, that's weird.
And then right when you get to the merge point, that's where there's a separate child swap room, and they kick you out of line. And then the people who ride, and then you go back to the child swap thing, and you come back to the merge point.
Oh, I'd never heard of that. Okay, that's interesting.
Wow.
And so, like, that is really tough because you have to, however long the line is, I have to carry Holland Blitz through the line and all of that kind of stuff. So that one's kind of an annoyance.
That sounds horrific. On a 95-degree day, and you're going to make little babies stand in a line and potentially crying and being upset and not being able to change them. That's a weird, wacky system. I'm surprised they have that.
Yeah, and then they go through like pre-shows and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a little weird. Versus like Disney now, it's all like digital, and like they like tap your magic band, and then they're like, okay, you go now, and then you guys wait out here. So you still go through the regular line, but your party splits up and all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting to me, like paying attention and carrying how that works, because It was funny, like I was at SeaWorld and I got off the ride and asked for a child swap pass, and that was the first time in my life I legitimately like asked for a child swap pass, and it wasn't just because I know the system and how that works and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. It's a wild thing, and I have a feeling that this isn't going to bother you at all, but I have a love-hate relationship with child swap. Usually, well, at Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks, you always stay at the exit with your kids while your spouse or whoever it is who's going first goes onto the ride, and then you swap out. And so, depending on the system, some places that have an exit platform, you'll get on there, and then you roll into the station already in that spot, or you walk through the exit and then get on. And it is always horrifically awkward for me because I hate having to look at those people who are next in line that I'm getting their seats. And sometimes I actually will say, oops, sorry, I'm a child swap person, that's all. I'm not some elite member or fast pass that I'm stealing your seat. And then especially if you're messing up with their system where they're sitting with someone who's in the second row and third row and that kind of stuff. So to me, that's the only awkward part. I have a feeling that's not going to bother you as much. You'll be like, well, that's the system. Well.
That's system. That's not my fault.
Yeah.
I'll probably look at them, smile, give them a little wink, like, hey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll let you know how this ride is.
Yeah, with bravado, like, whatever, I don't care. Whereas I just kind of, like, cover my eyes and look away, kind of awkward. But that's weird, that universal system, and I could see that being incredibly frustrating. Is there a particular ride at any park that you're most looking forward to getting Holland Blitz on? And it could be when he's 3 or 6 or 8. Is there one in particular that you're really thinking about?
I think the answer to that is probably Magnum XL200.
Okay. I guess we'll address that giant elephant in the room. All right, so if it's still there by the time...
That's a great question. I mean, 48 inches is what? 6? 5?
Yeah, right, exactly. For Alex, it was 5. Yeah, and both of them with spiky hair, maybe. Yes, 5, I'd say, is pretty accurate.
And I think conveniently with him being born in December, so he's got that extra, 6 months of growth. So I was kind of excited when he was born in December because I was all right, so that means he's going to have a growth spurt before the theme park season each year.
Yes, it's funny that you think of these things. It's true. Yeah. Like Alex, who was born in December, big difference from Maddie, who was born in May. And so where Alex was able to do Runaway Mine Train at Great Adventure when he was 4, Maddie won't be able to do it immediately when she's 4. So these kind of things that you would never think about that you start thinking about now. So kind of funny with that. All right, well, since you brought up the whole Magnum thing, and again, I wasn't around and listening to the origins when you had first started with the show. I've always wondered if this is some kind of inside joke or there's some historical thing, riding it with Dad when you were 6, and that's why the actual story, we'll hear it now, the deal with Magnum and your love or purported love of that ride.
Yeah, I mean, no, I legitimately love Magnum.
Okay.
Definitely rode it. I was 8 when I rode it with my dad and my brother. And so growing up at Cedar Point, so if you think about my home parks I've listed in the early days, it was Kings Island, it was Cedar Point, and it was Kentucky Kingdom.
Yep.
So, and then in that time I also ended up at Six Flags St. Louis. So my first looping coaster is Ninja at Six Flags St. Louis, of all things.
Oh no! I think between Magnum and Ninja, Ruth, those might be in your top 5 least pleasurable experiences, something like that?
Probably.
Okay, alright, so yeah, that's quite a start. So you can handle anything, Drew. Alright, so we've got Ninja and Magnum, alright.
Yeah, so I rode Magnum, and it was just leagues taller than anything else that I've ever seen in the park. So to me, this was the most massive thing on Earth.
Yep.
And so I just always had that in my mind, and then working at Cedar Point, you sort of get to know people who work other rides, and I had friends that worked Magnum, so I had a couple of these lovely things called trimless rides on Magnum, and so then the airtime's just insane. You're flying around, all this kind of stuff, and so it's just always been a good time every time I've ridden it. A lot of friends have worked that ride. A lot of people, it's probably not now that Steel Vengeance is there, but it usually was the ride that most employees liked more than all the others.
Yep.
Because you take Magnum, Millennium Force, or Millennium Force and Maverick, they're popular rides with the guests. They have hour-long lines or something like that. Magnum's a pretty thrilling ride that you can walk on. So anytime you go play in the park, you're always going to everyone's going to ride Magnum.
Have to.
And so it's so many fond memories of my life riding Magnum when I was working there, and it just memories of a childhood and being oh my god, you rode Magnum? I'm still in a stroller, but oh, my dad rode Magnum today, all that kind of stuff. So it's always been that ride that has always been like the iconic attraction.
And it's hard for someone Andrew's age to understand that historical context. 1989? 89, right. So 1980.
Yeah, that ride opened 2 weeks before I was born.
Oh my gosh, a little crazy connection there too. That's wild. So that makes a lot of sense. And so to understand what that ride was in 1989 compared to 2017, it's a big difference. And I think we, in all honesty, we do like the ride. Rue, what is it to you that really...
Well, so I feel like it's weird, that ride, because there's sometimes where I'll like it a lot, but there's sometimes where I won't, because at the end those bunny hops will like really hurt me. I think it's because of the restraints. Like some operators put the restraints really hard down, so it's like staples me to the seat, but some don't. So like at the bunny hop sometimes it hurts my legs a lot, but sometimes it doesn't.
Maybe Drew can give us the tip as to how to ride Magnum with less pain.
So it's one of the few rides where I don't actually ever put my hands up. I kind of just hold my lap bar for most of the ride, and so that way you've got the little gappage between your legs and the ride, and then you just kind of float around and eject up and bounce around in the seat. And it's way more fun that way than having the lap bar like stapled down on you.
All right, so you sort of pull up on the lap bar, so your legs.
Yeah, I just sort of sit there like. Cup my hands underneath it, like in this like U shape, and sort of just sit there with the hands underneath the lap bar.
All right, and I think Slater's going to love hearing you talking about cupping. I think he just got a great pleasure out of hearing that. He might put that on a loop at some point.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, with some restraints, cupping the restraints, as we're talking about, to make less pain. So we're going to try that in a couple months, all right, buddy?
And then also the other key to Magnum is with it having the 3 rows per car, like you sit in the second row, or like the second row of each car is definitely your magic seat.
Okay.
So like to me, like 62, car 6, second to last row is like the best seat on that train.
All right, so you've heard it here. That is a Drew the Intern exclusive, 6'2". That's the place to be.
Everyone's like 3-1's the ejector seat. I'm like, yeah, and you're gonna get rocked into this metal pole on every ride. Like, don't sit there. Sit 62, second to last row of the train.
Okay, kind of like Phoenix Magic Row. You remember what that is?
No.
No.
It's one of the middle seats.
I think row 3, something like that. It's crazy. It's the only coaster in the world that I know of that has a longer line, like a front row or back row, but not for a front row or back row. It's something like the third row has an extended queue because people know about it so much.
Yeah.
We have people like Dan, the t-shirt guy, who would be cringing right now with us not knowing it, but it's something like that. So we've got a couple of great tips there for making Magnum a more enjoyable experience, and I think you gave great reasons there. I think the pretzel turn, that first little transition, is kind of a jarring tilt to the left.
Oh, I love it.
It is weird.
You're sitting there and you're like, there's nothing like it.
It is so incredibly awkward. I love it. It's just bizarre.
From like the floater hill where you're like really like you're like flying on that hill. Like there's not a whole lot of rides that have. There's rides that have better floater airtime, but you are sustained floater airtime for a good couple of seconds, and then your butt finds the train again, and then you get this like jarring transition.
It is. It's wild, and it's beautiful, and as you said, views of the lake are beautiful as well. So, as much as we joke about some pain here and there, I don't mind it at all. And it's weird, like Sky Rush does not bother my legs at all. So many people complain about it. For Sky Rush for you.
Never done it.
Oh my gosh, that's right, so you still haven't done it. This is the summer, we're gonna get you on it, yeah.
I'm thinking next summer probably, with the big, like, obviously every year it's like sort of on the to-do list and then something else opens, but I'm thinking next year with them actually having like a 2020 project in the works. I'm like, okay, so then like Sky Rush Laugh Track, Coco Cruiser, and then like, or whatever they're calling, Coco Cruiser's Kids Coaster, not that one. So like whatever they're calling their like brown masterpiece entrance coaster thingy.
Yeah, you know, M&M Experience or something, M&M and B&M.
Poop chocolate.
Poop chocolate coaster, yeah.
The Poop Chocolate Coaster. Poop Chocolate Express.
Oh, that sounds dirty. That sounds very messy. That sounds problematic, but yeah, I like it. A little bit of change possibly from your summer plans. Although within the loop money, come on, just do it both summers.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll be interested to see what you think of Sky Rush, because such a different coaster. I'm really excited for Andrew to get on it, because Andrew and I are both kind of in the team of B&M Hypers kind of boring us a little bit, and Sky Rush is just so unique in that way, so very different than B&M Hypers that I think you'll absolutely love it. And if you love Magnum, Sky Rush, you're going to be crazy about.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is they're a similar ride to that. And I mean, I'm right there with you with the B&M Hypers, but I love Mako. There's something about Mako I think because there's nothing like it in Florida, and so that's like the ride that I get to ride more often than a lot of the other ones. So like that's my hyper coaster down here. So that's why I really love Mako.
And so many people who've done all the B&M Hypers or most say that Mako is the best. At some point here, hopefully we get down to the Orlando area, as Andrew's never been down there, and I haven't been to Orlando for any kind of theme park since I was 5, I think. So we're such newbies to all of this Disney and Universal and Fun Spot and SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Tampa. All of it is so kind of foreign to us. So there's so many experiences that we have to build down there.
Yeah, I mean it's a great town, especially if you love theme parks and roller coasters and whatnot. I mean there's thrilling rides with Mako, Kraken, Manta, Mind Blower. And then you've also got like the immersive experiences like Spider-Man, Dinosaur. So there's pretty much something for everybody down here.
Well, so that gets into one of the other questions we were going to ask about some of your favorite parts about being in Orlando. And certainly that would be it, having all those experiences and all the different memberships that you have. But on the flip side, some of the negatives, some of the dislikes, and I know you've stated some over the years, of just things that drive you a little crazy about Orlando.
Well, it's kind of funny. So around this time of year, I get sort of like cabin fever in Orlando, where I'm just antsy and ready to go experience other parks again.
Yep.
Like, because you pretty much spend the Christmas season up until like now, and you're like, all right, like all the seasonal parks are closed, like it's just Orlando, and now I'm ready to get out there and go experience something else again and get a taste of that chilly weather again. Like, it's already hot in Florida. Like it's a high of 81 today. Like, so
Yep.
we're already back to summer weather again, and so like I love being able to ride a coaster with a light jacket on, and you get the little tear in your eye when you're like riding through it. Like, to me, like that's perfect coaster riding weather, and so like I can't wait for that, and like being able to go up north and experience those parks, kind of thing like that.
Last winter, as you talked about weather, was the longest summer you guys I think have ever had. I remember hearing days in December where you guys were still close to 90, and at parts of, well, November-ish maybe, that you had a really late summer.
Yeah, I think I only wore pants probably 3 days this winter.
Oh, that's wild.
Which it's probably a high for us. I mean, we've definitely had days where we were in like the low 70s and breezy and not sunny, so it like felt a lot colder. And I was pulling out a light jacket for that, which is just so funny in my life now, living in New England, and now I'm down here and it's 72 degrees and cloudy, and I'm like, ooh, I need to get a jacket on.
Well, that was that meme that was going around, right? That everyone's sharing, that weather report from Florida. It might have been Orlando, I don't remember, where it showed the temperatures for each day, a high of 52, and it said take precaution, wear jackets, and how the rest of the country was thinking that was hysterical as there were a bomb cyclone and all kinds of other horrific winter weather stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, though. Like, I went to Yellowstone in the winter one year, and it was like, I had a jacket that was rated to 0 degrees outside, and I wear that jacket now at the Magic Kingdom when it's 60.
That's how southernized you've become.
Oh yeah, man, it's almost not good at this point. Like, because the other way around is it hits 85, and I'm like, it's too hot. So like, it really needs to be like 84 to 75, or else I'm not happy either direction.
Well, what you just described right there is San Diego. That's San Diego all year long.
I love the weather in San Diego.
Exactly. If it wasn't so expensive and highly populated, and Earthquake is going to send it into the ocean here pretty soon, if it wasn't for all those things, I would move to San Diego in a heartbeat.
Yeah. That's pretty much.
But traffic concerns, I know both you and the legend always talk about Orlando's traffic and how they're so far behind, especially with that one highway through the middle. That's just insane. I have to imagine at times the traffic in Orlando just drives you crazy.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I don't really even take the highway anymore, because while the highway theoretically would have been quicker, it never is anymore. So I'll take a 30-minute back road adventure from like my house to Universal rather than hopping on the highway and taking 4 exits down the road.
A lot like Long Island in New York City and Philadelphia in that way, that sometimes back roads are so much better. Well, I don't know if you know this, but we actually, and I know you've listened to some episodes, but I don't know if you know this, that we actually had an introduction that was sort of an In the Loop tribute. This was back in episode 24, where we talked about Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Are you familiar with that intro that we did?
Yeah, you censored it up a little bit.
You know, so you remember we did that, bud? Theme park family style. Yeah, sort of in tribute, as we've got a lot of great pleasure from In the Loop over the years, which we appreciate. So I wanted to do a little shout out of that and change things up a little bit. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I was glad we got to do that.
Yeah, good fun.
Yeah.
Good fun.
Things that you're looking forward to most this year, trip plans and things as well, coming down to the end here as, gosh, we're going on almost in the loop length here at an hour and a half. Membership. Yeah, which is awesome, and I love it. So membership/season passes you have for this year, and then the things in 2019 theme park-wise that you're really looking most forward to. I know you have your specific list that you're doing on an episode coming up soon, right? Your whole countdown list?
Tomorrow. We're recording that one tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So we won't give away any kind of list or anything like that, but just some of the things in your mind you're really looking forward to, and then we'll look out for that new In the Loop coming out that you're recording tomorrow, so that's awesome. So memberships and things you're looking forward to, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm actually a Six Flags membership and pass holder. And what's funny to this is, so I had it one year, going back to the whole, like, being really poor and still wanting to go to all these parks, and you can put that on a membership for, like, $5 a month or whatever, and I'm like, that's a lot better than buying a day ticket. Like, I get it over the span of a year, I'm going to be paying more than a day ticket, but right now in the moment, I'm paying $5 for this, so it's great. And then at the end of the year, I went to cancel it. And they were like, are you sure you want to cancel it? And I was like yeah, because I did the regular one, and I was like, yeah, it doesn't include parking, like, Six Flags, it's I'm okay. And they were like, well, what if we give you a gold pass for $5.99 a month? And I was like, no, I'm okay, like, really, I live in Florida. And then they're like, okay, what if we offered you a gold pass for $2.99 a month?
Oh my gosh.
and a one-time skip the line pass for a ride.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, that's incredible.
It's like I have a Six Flags pass. I'm paying like $36 a month for, or $36 a year.
A year, yes.
For my Six Flags Gold Pass.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that you'll have in perpetuity, and hopefully get to use a few times.
And on the same list of that, back in 2010, I bought a Busch Gardens Williamsburg Platinum Pass. That's like $7.95.
Whoa, pricey.
And that hasn't gone up in price either. So, like, I go to SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, Aquatica, and all of that for my $7.95 a month pass.
Wow, what a great deal. That's incredible.
Wow.
Okay, so we've got Busch Gardens, we've got Six Flags, Cedar Fair this year.
Nah, probably not Cedar Fair. So, that's the thing, is you need to go to a Cedar Fair park about 5 times, I think, to break even, especially if you go earlier in the season. Like right now, Carowinds is $45 day tickets. Everyone pays kids price.
Okay.
So with like the 200 plus total for a platinum pass, it just didn't seem like the value's there.
That's perfectly stated. That was our tip of the week for our last episode. The idea that so many parks right now have these early season specials and hop on them now. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially with Carowinds being your closest, and that's how many hour drive for you?
I think it's going to be about 7.5.
Yeah, exactly. And that's your closest, and that's not exactly all that. So that makes sense not to do that. And then your Orlando-based memberships you'd also have.
So then I got Disney, Universal, and Fun Spot right now.
Okay, so that is more than enough to keep you occupied. Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
at some point I'll renew Legoland. That one I kind of like let go in and out because there's really no like benefit to renewing it. So I let it go, and then I try to get one more visit before it expires, and then once I'm like ready to go back to Legoland, then I just get a new one again.
Yeah, and Holland Blitz around 2 will really start enjoying Legoland.
Yeah,
that's definitely something you can jump back into there. Okay. So, of course, we have Free RT, something that you're looking forward to, and then just a couple things that you're really excited to do.
Yeah, well, it's always exciting when a new park is coming to the United States, and I don't think a lot of people are really talking about Nickelodeon Universe at American Dream Mall, and that's like right by you guys of sorts. I mean, I know like New York is a big place, so it's probably not right by you guys.
It's a hike, but we have the in-laws who live in New Jersey, so from there it's only about 45 minutes, so we'll definitely be able to get there. But I agree with you, and that's one of the things we said in an episode. Why isn't this getting more talk? Maybe it's just because it's been in the talks for so many years that people are like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing, and I know it's even experiencing delays. Yeah, that's definitely something that we are looking forward to as well, now that it's, I think, been pushed back to summer time now at this point. You think there's a chance you might get there this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with OWA. OWA opened and I had to get out there. Like, I'll definitely go either this year or like January of next year, just because you want to go while it's still new and all of that kind of stuff. So because you just never know how long a park's going to last. It's really hard to open up a new park. And so I always try to get to it when it opens because I don't want to pull a Hard Rock Park and not get to experience it.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. So you didn't get to do that. Certainly we weren't even in the industry yet to know about it back then. And a lot of people feel that way, that they wish they jumped on it. So yeah, that's a really good point.
You know, it's funny, like Hard Rock Park I knew existed and all that kind of stuff. And as a family, we talked about it because my dad actually collects Hard Rock Cafe shooter glasses. Those are his souvenir cups. Like, they're in the kitchen. He's got a full cabinet that's like glass front that's just filled with all of his Hard Rock Cafe shooter glasses. And so we talked about going, and it was just I just looked at the coaster collection and I was like, like this B&M sit down looks fun, but like we didn't go because I was just like, whatever. Like, we'll get there eventually. Like, and I think we ended up going to like Great Adventure that year instead.
The carousel lift hill you didn't think was innovative and different enough? Like, I would have thought, like, back then, if I was in coasters yet, I would have been like, wow, that's nuts. And of course it broke down all the time because of it.
Yeah, I mean, innovative and different, yeah, but like, to me, I'm like, yeah, give me Superman, El Toro, like all of these big thrilling rides, and it didn't have that. Like, it really wasn't until I moved back to Florida that I got to enjoy, like, the simple things and, like, enjoying stuff like Haunted Mansion and the immersive environments and all that kind of stuff. Because before it was just, like, Hulk. Like, there were times where I would get to Islands of Adventure and Hulk was a walk-on, so I never left that area and rode it, like, 9 times and then left the park.
Wow, that many times. Steel Curtain, of course, is a highlight that you're looking forward to doing. Other new coasters, Yukon Striker, probably not going to happen for you, I would imagine?
Probably not. It's just a little harder to get to Canada. It's also one of those things, like, if I'm going away for a day trip to, like, fly to a park or something like that, it's a lot easier to explain, hey, I'm going to go to Iowa for the day. Hey, I'm going to Canada for the day.
It definitely adds another element. Plus, you did your European trip, so you've got your passport and all that set.
Yeah.
And so you have that, so that's easy. I just had to get mine renewed, and thankfully just got it in the mail the other day, as we thankfully were, and we're so happy about it. We did get approved for the Yukon Striker Media Day, which we're excited about, so we'll be heading there late April. As you know, it was tough for a lot of sites to get into the Copperhead Strike Media Day. I was pretty shocked when I heard from Clint that he said that a lot of sites didn't get approved this year. It was a pretty small gathering.
Yeah, and I mean, it also looked like there was only a small handful of people actually talking about the ride, versus I feel like when you have something like granted I live in Florida, but I found more people talking about the soft opening of Sesame Street than people talking about Copperhead Strike on the same day.
I don't know what their strategy was with that, why they invited so few people and there's very little buzz. Definitely a surprising strategy in that way, that so few people were invited to Copperhead Strike, and I guess they feel like they have enough buzz and don't really need to spread that out throughout the industry. But I agree with you, compared to last year, in a lot of the ride openings, you're not really seeing as much about it, so that's kind of an interesting decision that they made there.
Yeah, and I mean, it could very easily be that it's just not our industry because we all sort of follow each other. I know, like, Legoland California is really big on getting those, like, mommy bloggers that talk about, like, children activities, and that's, like, their big market. And so I don't know if they went that direction to get, like, a different audience than your coaster nerds that already know the ride exists and are already going to go do it.
That kind of makes sense, that there's plenty of redundancy there, and why invite a lot of people who are all part of the same cruise anyway.
Yeah, that's my theory with, like, Val Raven, because Val Raven had a really limited media day, and my thought was the folks from Cedar Point wanted the people who were like, how was the ride? Oh, I don't know, it was too terrifying, I didn't want to get on it, rather than, well, you see, it's like my third favorite dive coaster. I really don't like the new restraints, but the view from up top was really good. And the last roll was fine. But other than that, like, honestly, like, I'd like Shikra better. Like,
who does that sound like?
Coaster.
Oh, I knew you know. Yes, exactly. And intentionally.
But, like, it's a legitimate thing.
Well, that's funny, because that's why, and it is a legitimate thing, and that's why whenever I send applications for media days, that I very carefully explain our situation, that Andrew thinks he wants to eventually go into possibly this industry, and that we're not just fans, that this is something that we're passionate about, care about, and are very professional with. So that's something that you have to try to separate yourselves from whiny coaster boys. It's true, and it's not easy to do.
No, it's not. Yeah. It's all one community, and it's got this nice dark cloud over it that everyone thinks coaster enthusiasts are the worst.
That is it, and we are trying to break through those clouds into the sunshine, right, buddy?
We'll try.
Metaphorically. our ride of the day and tip of the day for this week, we're going to have the Drew the Intern special on these. So yeah, we don't even know what these are going to be. So let's start out with our ride of the day. Hit us up. What are you thinking?
Cornball Express, Indiana Beach.
Indiana Beach. Have we been there yet?
No.
No, we've been to Indiana certainly for Holiday World, but it's always one that I think about. Fortunately, when we do Hollywood Nights, we always do the 2 full days, and we're in school, so we haven't had the chance to get down there yet. So excited to hear about it. How many times would you say you've done it?
A lot. Probably 30, 40, something like that.
Oh, okay. So was this always like Cedar Point? You would make trips down there and when you were there and all that?
Yeah, so pretty much every trip that was that direction always ended up with a stop at Indiana Beach, because I love Indiana Beach.
Ah, okay.
It's all of these like flat rides that are out built on like makeshift piers, so you're swinging out over the lake, and all the rides entangled themselves, and just everything about it is fantastic, and it's hard to describe because there's nothing like it.
And then it's weird because then you have the whole, what is it called? The hog pig coaster.
Steel Hog.
Steel Hog. And that's in a completely different spot, like in the parking lot, away from the pier.
So you walk past that, and they had to like push the front gate out to build that ride. Like Knoebels-esque, where like the ride is just sort of there, and then you walk past a couple other rides, and then you're in the main park.
Yeah. To you, Cornball, better than Hoosier Hurricane.
Yes, Hoosier Hurricane's rough. Not a whole lot of airtime. Cornball, you're just flying around. It's got buzz bars, and it is a very underrated wooden roller coaster. There's tons of airtime on that ride that you're just flying all around, and nobody really talks about it.
Okay, so manufacturer.
It's CCI.
Which we love a lot of CCI coasters.
2002, 2001, something like that.
Okay. So,
I've heard EB talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
A little bit about that on the show sometimes.
Exactly. That he says he likes it as well. Favorite parts about it are the airtime moments?
Airtime moments, and man, just some crazy memories of going to this park. So, at Cornball Express, we went one time.
Uh-huh.
It was a Holiday World Cornball Express. So you only get one day off a week at Cedar Point.
Right.
And so, me and my friends, we would combine the last day of one week and the first day of another week, and we would call them Sunday Mondays.
Right.
And we would do like 2 parks, and then we would be back at work on Tuesday. So this was like the Monday of the Sunday Monday trip. And so we were at Indiana Beach, and it was dead. And we probably rode this thing like 20 times because it was by far like my favorite ride, and I kept dragging the team because it's like up a big flight of stairs to get up to it. And then by the end of the night, we like became friends with the operator, and like the operator supervisor showed up, and he was drinking, and he was in just like an old high school football jersey, and like the team knew who he was, and like but he was like clearly like having a good time at his park as a guest. And he's just hanging out, and then he started operating the ride, and it was just like, oh man, I will never forget an experience like that.
Oh my gosh, what an informal situation. That's awesome. You don't get those kind of moments too much.
No, and like the team was pretty cool. So there's a red line painted on the Hoosier Hurricane lift hill, and when they dispatch Cornball, and that the Hoosier train is right at that red line.
Yep.
Then the two duel each other at the one point where they share a structure.
Oh, that's so cool. I see. That's a stat I had never heard of before. That is so cool. So it's like an unintentional dueling moment. And so they do try to do that as much as they can?
If like Hoosier's on the lift, they'll wait to hold Cornball. But if like Hoosier's not going, they're just going to send Cornball.
Gotcha, okay. That is so awesome. And that's the kind of thing that we'll have to ask about. See if we can ever get one like that. Kind of like Drew's the reason we knew about, you might not have known that back then.
Jellyfish.
Oh, yeah, so say it again.
Jellyfish.
Jellyfishing.
Yep, we wouldn't have known about that if it wasn't for you, and that was our last ride ever. We'd only done Mean Streak 2 times ever, and our last time we did the jellyfishing, and they smiled, they thought it was hilarious, and we got it. So we owe that last experience to you. That was awesome.
Yeah, the one thing I've sort of learned by working in this industry is like operators are all like really friendly individuals, and like they just deal with so much crap and terrible humans that like if you're a nice, decent person to them, probably enjoy having a conversation with you.
We agree, and that's why, even if we have like a really grumpy one who isn't smiling or anything, that we'll never badmouth them, because I understand like how hard that job is. Not only the heat, as you talked about with your Disney experience, but just how quickly those trains dispatch. They're seeing thousands of people each day in the repetitive motion of bending down, even checking those trains, like the wooden coasters, how much they're bending down. I can imagine that you're back at the end of a work week. Holy cow, is shot. So I will never badmouth any ride op because of how difficult that job is.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, at this point, I've sort of learned how to speak ride op. So Legend likes this. Whenever we're at a park and a ride's down, like, he always just sends me to go talk to the operator to find out, like, if it's worth hanging out, waiting, or if it's, like, something or come back later. Because within, like, a 2-minute conversation, I'll have, like, an actual answer to that conversation. And usually, if it opens back up quickly, we end up through, like, the express or fast lane line.
Exactly. It's brilliant, because we've done that plenty of times, too, where a ride is down, and then you're hanging out, and then the 15 people come up, hey, do you know what's going on? And they have to give that stock corporate answer of, you know, it's down for mechanical reasons. And
we don't know how long it will be down for.
Right? How many times do you hear that?
Could be down for 1 minute or the whole day.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but getting to talk to them and being friendly, you'll eventually find out a little bit more. So it's a great point. I can't imagine the difficulties of that job. And not only that, but doing it all summer long. It's pretty crazy stuff. So Cornball, much smoother than Hoosier Hurricane. It's a big difference?
Yes, big difference.
Okay. And then the other coaster at that park that I know EB talks about that's sometimes down, sometimes up, is it Superstition Mountain? Is that what it's called?
Yes, Lost Coaster of Superstition Mountain.
Okay, so how weird an experience is that one?
Oh my god. And also, I can tell you, I've been to Indiana Beach like 5 times.
Yeah.
I think I have like 2 rides on this thing total. Because it always only runs one train, and the one train only seats like 6 to 8 people. and it valleys a lot, and yeah.
It valleys a lot. That's what you want to hear. That's a well-designed coaster. It valleys a lot. We've only seen one coaster, I think, in our lives valley. You remember what that was?
Maverick.
Yeah, Maverick. It was opening weekend 3 years ago, and it was sleeting out and a little bit of snowflakes. It was probably, high 30s, low 40s, and we saw on the test run Maverick Valley right before it comes into that last inversion before the tunnel. It was, right? And, yep. And so you probably have heard of that before. So yeah, seeing them having to do the winch and that whole process is pretty crazy. So you did it twice and that's it. And was it fun?
Oh, it's a blast. Which is funny. It's way more fun if you sit in like the back car rather than the front car.
Okay.
It's just a wild ride. You're just bouncing around. It's like sitting in the back of like a Jeep going off-roading. Like you're just all over the place.
Wow, okay. So hopefully we get that. And that's the kind of thing now that you'll get to experience, and getting these hard credits, a lot of them that you know of where you need a kid to ride. Everyone talks about that Universal coaster with that, what was it, the dinosaur one? That you need...
Pterodon Flyers. I finally rode it the other day.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So, family trip to Universal. My niece was there, and so I sort of dragged her in line, and she didn't want to do it, but we still rode it, and I got the credit.
So that's your first time after all these years, your first time on it?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. It's not scary at all, right? It's very tame.
No, it's a lot of fun. It was a blast. Like, I probably would ride it more often if it was eligible to ride it. It was a little longer, because it's a really short ride. It's like 45 seconds from the time you drop off the lift till the time you're unloading.
Okay, so it is quick. We don't know a ton about that ride, but you'll start to get those elusive credits as Holland Blitz gets older, so that's cool, and I'm sure you'll talk about in the next episode that you got to do that. Awesome. And then we hit our tip of the day, so we'll hear Alex singing.
Tip of the day, tip of the day, it's the tip of the day. Tip of the day, tip of the day, it's the tip of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, that was beautiful, Alex. Drew the Intern's tip of the day, and he's filled with thousands of tips from over his years of theme park knowledge. So hit us up with your tip.
All right, so this is a tip that it'll be helpful to your Florida trip. When you go to SeaWorld Orlando, everybody plans their day around going to the first Shamu show. So that is where every guest in the park is at 12 o'clock, is at that 12 o'clock Shamu show. So if you plan your day around going at the 5 o'clock Shamu show, then you have the entire park is dead during that 12 o'clock period, and you could ride whatever you want.
Oh, brilliant. We love that kind of stuff. We were just talking about that with Hershey and Brianna in different parts of the park.
Yep.
Okay, so 12 o'clock show, everyone hits. 5 o'clock is dead, so switch it up that way. And those are the kind of days we love, so it's going to help everyone out who goes to SeaWorld who hasn't been there before. What's the future of that? I know that all those kind of shows are being modified and changed. Is Shamu going to be at Orlando in 5 years, 10 years, do you think?
It's so hard to say because the company keeps changing CEOs and changing directions. Like right now they're on this like Six Flags trajectory where we're building a new ride every year. And like next year looks incredible with the Intern launch coaster going to Busch Gardens Williamsburg, RMC Gwazi, what appears to be there is the B&M dive coaster going to San Diego, and then you've got rumored wooden coaster going to Texas, and then Premier launch coaster apparently coming to Florida.
Right.
So crazy things coming to that park, and who really knows? Because I think the thing about the animal shows is the people who want to see the animal shows support your park, and the people who don't want to see the animal shows probably aren't going anyway. Like, they might go, but like, I feel like a whale doing flips is not going to change the opinion of people going. Like, it's not going to sway people one way or the other, and you get rid of them, you sort of cave to the people who you weren't trying to get to, who weren't going to come to your park anyway.
Right. It's interesting, as you guys talked about recently, the whole idea of for how much longer are they going to feature giant whales on the cover of their pamphlets, that at some point here, there's got to be that promotional shift more to rides, but it really hasn't happened yet with a lot of their advertising.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch and all that kind of stuff aren't in your billboards and like, come see Sesame Street.
Yes.
You can see the street, it's here. But instead it's like, discover the wonder, and it's a big Shamu.
It does seem odd. As you said, everyone who knows about SeaWorld understands that Shamu is there. You're not informing anyone. Like, what? They have orcas at SeaWorld? Stop the presses. Like, everyone knows this by now. So, yeah, in that way it is kind of odd. Well, this last question kind of leads into our goodbye rhyme that we always have. And we know a large part of In the Loop discussed your drinking game, as you're a connoisseur of many fine craft beers and other types of alcoholic beverages. So, with that being such an important part of the show, how much has your drinking game had to change over these last bunch of months with being a daddy now?
So, it's interesting how much the drinking game has changed. One, like, I cannot do a morning where I'm hungover because it's just not going to work as a parent to be hungover in the slightest. That happened once, and I was like, this can't ever happen again.
Exactly.
Two, it's great because the stroller has cup holders for beer, so like at this point now I don't have to hold the beer. But like something like Animal Kingdom has like the aggregate pathways, and they're not quite smooth, so you really have to like be careful. You can't. It's pretty hard to get 2 full beers in the stroller and push it along.
Oh yeah.
Without them being sploshy a little bit.
Right. Yeah, that's important. You don't want to be spilling beer with a stroller there, so that is important. Also, we want to make sure that those cup holders aren't in a place where Baby Hollandblitz is going to be able to reach those beers here as he...
No, they're in the upper deck.
They're in the upper deck, okay.
He can't reach them.
Yeah, at this point. You mentioned the hangover thing, that I think at times being a parent, I describe it as having a hangover. So adding a hangover to, at times, some of the frustration and difficulties of parenthood would be like a double hangover. So as you said, that is not the easiest thing at all. All right, so you've had to cut back now in your daddyhood at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
But definitely worth it in that case. As you said, all of these developmental stages that little Hollandblitz is going through just makes it so worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. It's fun watching him grow, that's for sure.
Well, Drew, thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome. This has been the quickest 2 hours that we've ever spent recording. It's amazing how quickly this goes by, and I can see how you guys do 3 or 4 hour shows when things go by this quickly. And there's so many things we didn't actually wind up covering. So undoubtedly we'll do this again. We look forward to meeting you in the parks, because that would be pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll definitely have to hook that up, right, bud?
Yep.
I can show you my cup holders.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is awesome. So April's not too far off. Check out the cup holders and maybe even a couple of cups, right, bud?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because you got to get your practice on for the Kennywood Keg coming up here pretty soon, right, bud?
Yep.
Poor Drew, the intern, used to like a nice stout.
But now he does much more with milk. He's a daddy. Andrew, out.
Yeah.